operations director at Britcon UK Limited. Ops director now at Britcon for about 4 years, and living the life of a contractor.
Love it, mate. Love it. Thank you. So usually with these podcasts, we'll start off with a little bit about you. Obviously, journeys into construction are usually I fell in or my family friends got me involved. But do you want to take us back to the beginning of how you got into the world of construction?
Yeah, wow. Wow, I'm making
Wow.
myself sound old now, but so back to when it all started. Believe it or not, came brought up in a family of contractors, predominantly bricklayers. Went to a careers evening once. Had the synergy between family and interest. Bit of an engineer at heart as well. I like to take things apart to see how it's built and then build it back up again. And then stumbled across probably a course similar to what I suppose like a UTC college does now, kind of like a BTEC kind of HNC course. And my school was the first school to pilot such a course, which aligned alongside GCSEs and A levels, and you got into structures and calculating beams, and then basically I did that alongside my GCSEs at the time. Found an interest within it, and then the story kept on going and going. Really, so I did that. I spent a bit of time in industry. So before there are things called degree apprenticeships, and that route or Leeds College of Building or whatever it might be. That's kind of the route I took within my industry. So I learned, I worked, I spent 6 years at university. I did an engineering degree course, a civil engineering degree course. Got chartered. Now on my route to chartership with MCIOB as well. And then just probably a stage of my career after getting chartered as a civil engineer is giving something a bit back to the people I'm seeing forging their way in their career. So it's really rewarding. Been there, worn the T-shirt on the educational side. Never missed any opportunity. So I suppose I'm an opportunist learner. So for anything that was given to me, either through employment or through myself, I'd always take that opportunity. So that's a bit about me and my steps. So 6 years after doing my degree on a part-time basis, I've then kind of passed out, got my degree, got chartered, and then ended up being an operations director at Britcon, following a couple of moves along the way.
Yeah.
That's a bit about me, Dom.
No, love it. So construction a long time, all your life then, literally, pretty much.
All my life, from 14 years of age, working out truss beams, loads, and forces, right through to putting my big boy pants on and working in industry, rubbing shoulders with men and ladies who spoke in different medias. To what I were used to then being part of a graduate board at a company called Costain, who then looked alongside the CEO and different directors to then go back to site and talk to men and ladies who put things together. So I think one of the big things, and I always say it in my career, is that I've been very fortunate and lucky to have some really good mentors and really good mentorship along the way. You take that with you in terms of how you come across to different people who you meet on a day-to-day basis. And we might be going into schools, or we might be going into colleges and universities. And I do a lot of work with the Institute of Civil Engineers as well, as a supervising engineer and delegated engineer, to help others on their journey. Whether that's endpoint assessments or eng techs or whatever it might be. But you don't forget that once that you needed that help and you needed that mentorship and that guidance and that encouragement to go and be what you wanted to be or a little bit better each day. So yeah, it's I've been very lucky with the people that I've had in my career looking after me.
It's good. It's good. Do you know what's funny about construction? I've been in it for a long time as well, but in different routes, completely different routes. I've been very much on, the marketing sales side a long time. And someone asked me the other day about why construction. I don't think I'd ever change it, but I don't think I could ever go back and say I would have picked something different. But there's just like construction, it's something new every day. The people involved in it as well, I just feel like these type of conversations don't happen in every industry. It feels like we're all on one goal together to achieve and build amazing things, and it just creates this amazing camaraderie between us. And that's why I'm still in it, genuinely. Because you could ask, why have you been in, would you change industry now? And I'm probably going to say, I'll probably guess you're going to say no. You probably love it. Do you love it?
I you know what, like, we live and breathe it, don't we? Whether it's getting up really early, getting home really late, being there for people who need a bit of an arm round and a bit of guidance and mentorship again. But absolutely, we call it at our organisation. We call it being part of the family. Now we're a family-run business, is Britcon, and we have a lot of family values. And the biggest value that we have is people and looking after the people, whether that's existing staff or whether that's new staff we bring into the business. But if you can't look after the ones, your family, your mates, I suppose, the one who will look after you each day, then absolutely, I wouldn't pick any other industry, because it is like being part of the family.
Yeah.
And construction industries like that as well, down into it. We all care, we're all passionate, we all are diverse and we're inclusive, but we really, really care about what we do. And people within our organisation, in our industry, are the backbone of that. And I hear stats and numbers of 15,000 people were short within the industry because the new generation might want to be YouTubers or influencers or selling things on TikTok. And it worries me. It worries me that in terms of there's some people out there who's missing a real good opportunity of not just building something, but actually making a difference within what we do and in society as well. Some massive challenges out there, whether it's climate, carbon, infrastructure, economy, economics, and we're just missing that. And 15,000 people that we're short now is going to adjust 22,000, 30,000, 45,000. I just I hope we get it right over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I hope we get it right. So
100%. We've been speaking on another, funny enough, one of the other podcasts we did with Dan Juice from Britcon Partners, talking about getting young people into building surveying, and it's so incredible. And we'll do questionnaires to the young kids, like who wants to be, who wants to work in construction, and it's like that thing I said earlier. Everyone seems to fall into it, but you don't realise how great it is until you're in it. And I've been in it a long time now, and all I can ever do is speak good about it. But no, it's a really good, really good start. Is that thank you for all that info. It just gives you can feel it. I think you can feel it from when you're talking about how much you love it. So it comes across well. It does.
Thank you.
But just on that, then, talking about Britcon, the business contract, the type of works and things that you do. We've been speaking recently about mental health in construction. It's a big, big topic at the moment. We're seeing stories from everywhere, that are not great. And as contractors, because I've not actually asked any contractor this yet, so there's nothing, that'll catch anything off guard. But how do you mitigate against such situations of trying to lower stress and keep people's mental health in check while trying to win work? And from your point of view, is that a challenge?
It is, and it's a society challenge as much as it is a construction challenge. What we do very well at Britcon is that we have a real good health and wellbeing team. We support the businesses, right from our CEO and directors, right through to to our Czech team, and we owe a lot to the people within our organisation. So mental health first aiders within Britcon is a high percentage of people. We then have signpost options through our healthcare providers and occupational health providers. We then do a lot of work with with different charities out there, whether it's Mind, Andy's Man's Club. The big takeaway from the Construction Excellence Awards was the Lighthouse organisation again, which was that its own for me again. What's happening out there in the society. But within construction, how do we support ourselves? We talk about CSR and CSR commitments, but we use CSR commitments sometimes to come together as a team, to not just give back to our communities and be socially responsible, but also to talk to people, to go and do a litter pick on South Gore Beach, or go and do a litter pick around a park, or whether it's a recent project we've just completed in Sheffield where we did it in collaboration with the local authority, the Friends of the Park, and our client. But we came together as a team, and we spent 4 hours talking to one another, and 4 hours talking to one another about not about building things or what happens from day to day, but talking to each other about what's your family doing? I mean, what's happening outside of work? I'm really lucky. I've got to say that for the organisation I work in, I'm really lucky because the amount of support and signposting that we've got available to us for a small, medium contractor, it's huge, really.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's topics that it's a topic that's just in constant conversation. I sat down with a couple of people recently. We've tried to kind of create a group because we're trying to work out what could change. We have the whole talking, reach out, talk to people. It's usually too late in the day. That's the problem with that, and it's what things can be implemented. And just getting it's getting the real life events from contractors to really understand the pressures, and we see it. It's like when works are being tendered. There's a real field for going in there and getting in the winning tender. But what's the back end of that look like? What's the people's welfare look like in that? Is that all taken into consideration? And sometimes jobs are won on ridiculously low prices. You've seen it where you've lost a price by 100 grand and you think, how's that possible? And you think, and you'll turn around and go, well, we didn't want it anyway type of thing, which we do. But, them type of contracts ultimately they need pulling through and really, really vetting, because I think that we don't. And there's a big, big change that needs to be done on that. But then that leads you down the whole framework conversation, doesn't it? Getting onto frameworks and understanding there has to be set routes and set kind of barriers that need to be in place so people just can't buy work. In terms of, so moving on to that then in frameworks and things, are you involved in the actual process of bidding work, or does that sit with other parts of the team?
We do. No, we do. And I come from an operational background, so the bit where, so initially we kick off the tender, we understand what's being asked of us, from a risk profile, from a buildability point of view, from a commercial point of view and a prelim point of view. So me and my team would get heavily involved in buildability, methodology, temporary works, constructability. So we come together more as a departmental team. Yeah. So we have our estimators, we have our pre-construction team, we have our operational team, commercial team. So I don't think we don't just have a bid lead, for example, and the bid lead then would get stressed because we're coming up to minus 10 days before submission. I suppose we have a mid-tender review. We then go and have a review before submission. We settle the tender in terms of what we think it needs to be as a director kind of challenge. So and then we submit it. But it's I think it's more of a team effort than a single person kind of entity approach
Yeah.
that we do. Our supply chain and subcontractors are part of that process as well.
Right.
So we do tender things together in a collaborative way as
Yeah.
well as a collective way. So we don't overburden the same people time and time again, because it
Yeah.
is high stress. It is an high stress environment when you're churning. Again, I mean, we're part of frameworks, so we get to a position where I won't say pick and choose what we want to tender, but we have certain procedures and profiles in what we tender for. Um,
Right. That's good. Yeah.
so
That's what I
yeah,
was
we,
going to
we,
ask
we
you
we
next.
have a clear strategy,
Yeah.
in how we go and approach it.
Because
Um,
how many people have you got working for you or within the business?
there's 106 within Britcon. We're
Right.
part of a wider group, which is best part of 350 people. That's growing weekly, so
Yeah.
it's growing weekly. I mean, gone are the days which we're finding where you just have a site manager and engineer on the site and they go and deliver a multi-million-pound job. There's that many systems and that many procedures in place now where we have two, three, maybe four people on a project rather than just a two-man team, a number one and a number two, as they used to
Yeah.
call it. But yeah, that's kind of changing its tact a little bit, and it's changing its tact because there's a hell of a lot. There's a hell of a lot to do for a site lead, for a project lead. It's it's difficult. It's difficult, and these people need support, and people support as much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just talking about the tenders and all the process, like you're obviously quite strategic in what you pick, and I am talking openly as if people listening. Sometimes we don't get to see the ins and outs of it, but we hear a lot of contractors going bust. It happens a lot, way
Hmm.
more than we like to say. I think every time we open Construction Inquirer, the first page is another one gone bust. Your
Yeah.
position as a business is, there's a very fine line, isn't there, between that growth and being able to stay profitable as you're doing. What do you think goes wrong in that chain? Because at the moment you're obviously a great business, things doing great. Where do you think it goes wrong? And how could people mitigate it? Obviously, I'm not asking you to, become this wizard of
Yeah.
changing it. But from your point of view, Lee, where do you think that goes wrong for a lot of
I
businesses to fall off?
I suppose us as exec directors within the industry look afar at other companies, and we've seen recently the other companies that have fallen to the wayside have maybe grown a little bit too quick too soon.
Yeah,
They've maybe not had the right risk profile in terms of projects. Being a £200 million contractor and taking on an £80 million scheme might be just a little bit too much for people.
yeah,
Um, Developing into multi-sector markets, which are outside people's comfort zone, might be something different as well. We talk about, within our era at Britcon, we've had COVID, two general elections, Brexit, inflation rises, which has been unprecedented.
yeah. Oh,
Material
great joke.
increases.
Yeah,
It's been an absolute. If we've been absolutely peppered for the past 5 years within industry, haven't we? So
you're still going
um,
strong. Yeah,
still going well. Again, I mean, I talk about luck and being lucky, but we've the group that we are. Because it's not just Britcon. We've got a steel business within there where we fabricate our own structural steel. We have a surfacing business in there as well, which is part of the Hunt Group. Um, very, very, strong financial back in there. So we are lucky in that respect, and I talk about that in a way. Um, but I think you're right. You look in Construction Inquirer, you open the page, either a cladding contractor's gone into administration, a contractor, an M&E contractor, and you think, wow, who'd want to take on that risk? I suppose in that respect, but I think it's around the risk profiles and making sure you've got the best net price, the best net program, the best value for the client, and the right people to do the right job at the right time. Because if not, then you can't make a little bit of money, can you? So yeah, I think it's not growing too quick, not going into sectors which are actually looking at different procurement routes and and different strategies. The type of contract as well. So we're quite aligned with the contracts that we like to sign up to, and making sure we've got the right people for the right job.
Fair enough. No, it's a good point. It's something that just happens, It happens all the time. And you sometimes like, well, there's another one, and no one really talks about it. It gets done and it disappears.
Yeah.
And, it's not like we all need to sit here and work out like who's bad and who's good, because no one goes with the intention of going under. They just don't, but it's literally in the zone, like where you sit, and then the subcontractors will come on, which takes us quite nicely onto payment terms, really, and what your thoughts are on this. Because obviously I believe there was a new law brought in. I don't know if it is active, where payment terms came down to maximum 45 days. I believe, is that right? And
that's right. Yeah. So
some were up at 60, 90. I just can't function at them numbers. You just literally can't. But in terms of payment terms, have you ever been involved, not obviously at Britcon, but ever in fact, what's your opinion on that, and where does that go wrong, and how did that ever come about, such long payment terms, from what you know?
Well, for me, payment terms is all around cash flow, isn't it? And making sure you have the right cash flow, which suits your project or your individual business or business stream. So payment terms for us, we generally are around about 30. This is for us from our client, so this is up chain to our client. We are 30 to 45 days normally. We have been in a position where we have agreed a 60-day payment term, although it's not the norm, if I'm honest. But generally, dependent on contracts, so we work across the NEC and the JCT.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally on the NEC, it's against an activity schedule. So it's for 100% of activities completed to date is based upon your application. JCT is against works done to date against a CSA value and a commercial assessment. So we generally work between 30 and 45 days quite comfortably. Again, very fortunate that we've got cash in the bank, so we can manage that in a way that's more fortuitous than others. Down chain to our subcontractors, we sometimes go as low as 7 days, depending on the contractor. So we've got some subcontractors that work for us for 25, 30 years. So they've grown with us as a business. They'll continue to grow with us as a business as well as a profitable business. So yeah, low as 7 days, but generally around the 30-day mark from us as a main contractor.
Does it work? Does the current system work, do you feel?
Does it work? It does if your application gets paid on time. Because sometimes you can play a bit of tricks with that one. Chasing people for payment sometimes can be a pain in the backside.
Yeah.
Having the competent surveyor at the other side of the table who's agreeing the valuation and the relationship there between people. Does it work? Does it work? I don't think since I've been in the industry we've thought of a better way of commercially assessing applications or works done today. I think 30 days is a good barometer of payment terms. I think 60 days is the other side, a bit too much. 90 days is borderline, offensive,
Probably.
really.
Yeah,
It is a little bit, isn't it? It is a little bit. So basically, you're bankrolling a project for 3 months before getting any money in the bank, and
yeah. No, it is.
I don't think that's palatable. But 30 days, I think that's there or thereabouts the norm, if I'm honest, and probably aligns with a monthly valuation as well.
Well,
So
exactly, and that was
yeah,
my piece on it. It's always like, and the thing is, people, the job will be complete, it'll be done, after, and they'll be saying, "Oh, we'll pay you after on the payment terms." It's like, well, the job's done. You could go. This is a whole new conversation that you could go down, but yeah, I do see what they did with bringing it into 45, and hopefully, just with that, the cash flow can move a little bit better. But it's a tricky one.
yeah,
It's a real tricky one. We, as surveyors, don't have. This is where we're very different. Is that we don't have products or ultimately things held that we have to pay supply chain for. So if you look at our overheads as a chartered building surveyor, we've got staff, we've got offices. We go out there, we'll do services. Everything we do is service led, which means we could technically sit on debt. It's not a good thing, but we can. But then in the world of flat roofing, for instance, when I was at Langley, we shift them £500,000 of product and we don't get paid. We get sunk. And it's such a dangerous game all the time of who are you dealing with. It used to crazy because we used to have to credit checks on contractors, and felt like sometimes you were insulting them when you give them a credit limit. And it's like I would always say to the business, like, yeah, they're fine, and I get it. I understand why it's done. It's because cash flow is so important, and I've learned a
yeah.
lot over the years. So um,
Yeah, you
I
talk
think
about the credit checks, Dan, as well. Sometimes the vulnerability of the industry affects the credit as well. So it's
yes,
not just the performance and commercial performance, but the industry now, because we're having so many companies going to administration, is now looking like a vulnerable industry. So your credit rating can be affected on that way as well. And
as well.
it's a good point you make. Yeah,
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I kind of sit in the background and watch it all happen. But it's good, like I say, like, it's just good getting an insight really onto it. But in terms of you guys are quite good at promoting. I've seen obviously you come on, you put awards in all the time. It's really good to see. Marketing's a big part. Do you ever get involved with the marketing, the promoting of the work you do?
yeah, yeah. Do you know what? It becomes quite natural when when we deliver what we say we're going to deliver,
Yeah.
when we deliver the outputs that we say we're going to deliver. So today, I've just been up in the northeast. We opened up a northeast office
All right. Okay.
couple of years ago now. So yeah, so in Teesside we have a office, and we completed a project up there which we won basically 4 awards with the British Safety Council. And today we had a real good opportunity um, to promote and say thank you to the site team. So we went up today, we did a bit of a photo shoot, we said thank you to the individuals that worked the backsides off to deliver a project which was challenging. It was in a challenging place, challenging technically, modern method of construction build. And today we're about saying thank you. Um, we took some pictures, and we'll probably put that on LinkedIn just to reward and give some kudos back to a couple of site managers and a project manager,
Yeah.
because they mean the world to us. They mean the world to us, and sometimes it's about marketing what we do, but it's also about saying thank you to our clients or to our people or to our supply chain. And yeah, we get involved with that from an operational point of view, from a commercial point of view, from it's a team approach really. It's not just one person. So, but yeah, it does give us an opportunity to say thank you sometimes, Dan.
No, it's good. It's lovely to say, because I think, like with like I said earlier on, with construction projects, you just see them appear overnight, and sometimes we have all these amazing practices, and we just don't share them. Interestingly, it's a bit of a sad one, really, but we were really not. We were struggling for awards this year because we had some great, but we didn't have anywhere near what we should have. That's what it feels like. It feels like lots of people don't do case studies. A lot of people don't have all that work to be able to put in, and it's a bit of a we want to see more of it. And I just think like you doing what you do, and you should keep championing that and just keep pushing out the work to promote the type of work you do. But just on that, what sectors are you guys involved in? What do you primarily focus on?
So we've got 3 business streams. So one's civils, one's build, and one's steel. Okay. So in our build sector, it's industrial, commercial, education, and also a little bit of blue light as well. In the civils, we do ports, we do national infrastructure, and we do water. And in our steel business, a bit of an agile business that does rail, they do energy, and they do water as well. So we've got a real agile, diverse business who try to intertrade with one another as much as we can to get that control and that quality and safety aspect onto our site. So, but yeah, real diverse business, which kind of look at them 3 areas really.
Yeah. No, it's good. And in terms of growth, I'm going to bring this back in then. Growth. So, your position, are you tasked with this, with the next phase for Britcon, to know when's the right time to grow, how to grow, and that must be a bit of a challenge. Because I'll be honest, so I'll give you. I sit doing what
you're talking with an ops director. You're talking to an ops director, Dan, who kind of thinks, how are we going to deliver this? What we're going to do? And then we come together as exec directors with a bit of strategy. Last Friday we had we tend to have monthly away days to talk about what's the market telling us.
Yeah, okay.
What can we learn from trends? What can we see that pop up on our software? What's the areas that we're really good at as well? What do we do really well?
Yeah.
What can we do more of? Where can we get the best efficiency? What's the next national infrastructure job that we want to be a part of?
So you're always forward thinking like this. You're always thinking
by 4 to 5 years. Always. 4 to 5 years ahead. Yeah, 4 to 5 years. So we looked at from our civils division, we looked at the water sector and what that meant from Ofwat and what they were telling the industry about being a constrained industry, needing more contractors, putting too much onus in the original kind of people. So we tendered a framework up in the northeast in Teesside and Durham called Northumbrian Water, who's a big advocate of construction excellence, and we were lucky enough to secure a place on that framework with them, and that ties in synergies with other markets, other sectors, our steel division, our build division as well. So yeah, we try to be 4 to 5 years ahead of the curve, and we just try and do it in that way, really, Dan. It's not.
Yeah, it's quite. I'll be honest, quite a basic question, but I just think like sometimes it's just getting in the mind of businesses. Some just sit happy, crack on, build things, and move on. But with what you're thinking and how you plan, a lot of businesses now, it isn't just building. There's so much strategy that goes on behind the scene as well for you to move into that next zone. But yeah, it brings it takes a lot of energy as well to do it. I do it for us, for a surveying practice, always thinking about how can we do differently? What services can we do? How can we, create new opportunities? That's a huge one. New opportunities, where do they come from? Sat on a podcast with you, Lee, doing this and pitching it.
I know.
Crazy as it sounds.
I mean, big one for us. And you're right. You go and do some some fresh thinking away from the office or the workplace, and you put your jeans and t-shirt on and get into a relaxed environment and start brainstorming things out, and then you come up with, you know what, why are our company van drivers doing manual vehicle checks? Why aren't we got an app for this? Why aren't we thinking about his carbon or our driver behaviours? And you know what, it's amazing what comes out of just a bit of an innovation or a design sprint or whatever you want to call it. It's incredible the stuff that comes out and what you think about. So what we do from from a technology point of view within the business now compared to what construction was like 5 years ago is just a different level. The amount of reporting we can do, the amount of record keeping, vehicle checks, timesheets, it's material purchasing and procuring. It's just gone to a different level, and you need them days away to think strategically, to think about the business. I went to one of our flagship projects in 2022, and had a site visit, spoke to the site foreman and the project manager, and they did over 816 inductions, 816 site inductions. So if you calculated that works out to be about 16 weeks worth of someone talking about do's and don'ts, assembly points, spill kit locations, daily briefings, 5-week planning, and all that. 16 weeks. Now, how can we take that 16 weeks and make it 4 weeks?
Yeah.
What technology can we use to be a bit more efficient? Maybe that'll keep people less stressed. Maybe that'll keep people a bit more sharp when it comes to, instead of spending 16 weeks, I'm going to look at 16 weeks worth of drawings or 16 weeks worth of CVRs. But these things come apparent when you start talking to one another in a room.
Do you know what? I didn't even think of this at all, but I was speaking to a guy the other day who's big on AI, very big on AI, and he's looking now that they can set cameras up on site, and they basically act as site foremen, site managers. So it's things like someone's walking around with the hard hat off, it instantly does facial recognition, and it'll just send an email to him immediately saying he needs to do a toolbox talk without any human interaction. So you could have these set up in 4 corners of a site. So all of a sudden it's then, and if they haven't done the toolbox talk, they get a reminder. And if they don't finish the reminder, they get dragged in office to then have the chat with. And do you know how much human time that takes away? It's absolutely, I'm just sat thinking, that is absolutely amazing. Like the amount of time that you've got to, get your head on, whatever you're doing, don't be doing that on site. It's all just done by AI. I'm just like, well, it'll be a different world in 10 years. It will be. So there's a little bit for you.
It's incredible.
Some thoughts if you've not thought about it. AI.
Wait there, let me jot it down.
But look, thank you for coming on. We could talk about so many different topics, but that isn't really what today was. It was just kind of, I'll be honest, just getting to the mind of someone that works within contracting, what it's like, the journey, the challenges. And you guys are part of, obviously I speak to Gina a lot. It's really good. And even if you're doing work on site where you think it's a good job, like we've got people love that. They love to come to site, maybe if it's just here's what we're working on. We'd be dead keen to do that and collaborate a little bit more rather than just doing the one yearly thing of, let's do an awards ceremony. If you were to go, I'll tell you what, we're going to invite 15 people along and we'll show them and talk to them what we're doing, how we're building. People don't know what foundation. I know this sounds crazy. We are digging the foundations. You know how many people have not ever seen that ever been done? Mm-hmm. That would be gold dust. I know that sounds crazy, but people go, also how, seeing it being dug out, because it just gets done. It's the basic things where you think, who wants to see foundation? I'd come watch. And you start thinking, So we'd be dead open to that. If you've got anything where you think you could invite us, obviously, I know there's health and safety to consider, but people would love to see work being done. Definitely.
We'll have a think about that. We'll get something in, and even if we can do a CSR event together, and do
Yes.
some litter picking and
Oh, mate, you
talk
drag me
about
in doing some.
day in, day out. We'll get you in. We'll get you in. We'll get you in. You have to wear a vest and have a litter picker, but you
Yeah.
know it's it goes with the
I'm in.
territory, unfortunately, Dan.
I'm absolutely
Okay,
in. But lovely. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's appreciated. So, but yeah,
sure.
thank
Well,
you, Lee.
thank you for the opportunity, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, pal.
Love talking about his passion, so keep us
Love it,
involved.
mate. Thank you, pal.